You know, that reminds me. Once I eventually finish up with this one, I'm gonna have to go into Verdict Day, which I'm a little bit more excited for after kind of. I think I've burned myself out on this one, even though I've been spacing out these recording sessions pretty extremely. But, I'm gonna have to pick a new anime character to plaster all over my mech. I was originally just gonna import my design from this game and just keep using it, but I'm almost certain that because I've already I've already fucking played on, I can't, like, import any of my stuff. I'm gonna have to, start over with, making a new emblem. And I could do the thing where I was gonna fucking just open up with my 360 copy of the game on the television right next to this one, and then, what's the word I'm looking for? I was going to, piece by piece copy it into that, and then redo it on my Verdict Day thing. Because you can only transfer your save data when you're doing a clean thing. I've tested this pretty extensively with saving and deleting stuff on the cloud and whatever, local files. I've had a lot of back and forths and stuff. The only way I'd be able to do it is to completely wipe my current Verdict Day stuff, and unlike 5 on the PS3, I did actually play a pretty extensive amount of Verdict Day on the PS3, so I don't want to just throw that away. I have a lot of, and I already have a lot of good emblems in there, like that Raven's Nest emblem that you may see on the fucking header for my channel. That's actually a screenshot of the version of it I made in Verdict Day that I exported and fucking uses the header for my thing, because if you notice, it doesn't actually match the one from Armored Core 1 because I had to make that out of polygons. But yeah, I was gonna just import my fucking Shinobu mech into Verdict Day, even if I have to do it the most roundabout way possible, because I think I have some kind of OCD problem. But I might not do that. Like, if I'm gonna do that, that would essentially mean I'd have to make it like 2 or 3 separate times, all 114 different pieces. I'd rather, like, if I'm gonna do that, I may as well just pick a new character. So, if you have suggestions for that, sometime between me and now and me starting it, feel free to leave, like, a comment or a reference or whatever. Because I have a few ideas. I was thinking maybe Rory Mercury or fucking Haruhi Suzumiya. Like, I used to think Higurashi was my favorite anime, but I can't forgive that ending. That ending's fucking terrible. Like, it's really bad. I guess if you just count the originals, that show's still really good, but fuck, god. Like, the ending, like, I want to say half season to fucking, Sotsu is just, it makes Go suck because it's the answer fucking arc. And I thought the answer arc, I thought, like, the fucking plot of that arc was going to be a lot more interesting and better, and it's not. It sucks. Like, Go is fantastic, and watching Sotsu made Go worse. Like, it's not just like, oh, it's a disappointing conclusion, but Go is still really good. Because those are each one half of an entire story, the fact that Sotsu sucks means Go also sucks now. It was better when I didn't know what the other half of the story was, and that's a shitty feeling. It's not like watching Battlestar, where you can watch everything but the last, like, 10 episodes and the series is still great. It's like, you can still fucking get tons of enjoyment out of watching, like, the first 6.5 seasons of Game of Thrones. It'd be weird to just stop, but you can at least, like, you could watch those and still have a ton of fun with it. Like, Go is literally half of the story. It's like how I have the box set of all of Higurashi, and I've got the originals, and I've got the new ones are on my Xbox as downloaded files. Like, I fucking watched Go episode by episode as it came out, and I was like, man, it's awesome that Higurashi's back, and it's like, because Higurashi was a pretty shut story. There wasn't, like, a ton of room to fucking continue with it, but they're recontextualizing the stuff, and there's a lot of cool things there, and it's just, it doesn't pay off, and that's really disappointing. Because I was excited for it to come back after, like, what? When was the last one? I think Ray came out in fucking 2009, and before that, I think Kai was 2007. And Kai is just the fucking answer arc to the original. It was like, it sucked that the fucking new show isn't really worth watching, because all it does is make the original stuff feel less complete. Because it has the additional problem of you're opening up what was a really nicely resolved story, and then you're ruining parts of it because, like, it's inconsistent, the character motivations are kind of stupid, the stakes are not nearly as interesting or even as, like, fucking, I don't know. It's just disappointing. And I know this is weird to say, because Sotsu came out, like, nearly a year ago by this point. It came out, I think, near the end of last year. And I did watch it around that time. I had to wait, like, 1 or 2 months because I wanted to watch... I'm actually really annoyed. That's another thing that pisses me off. Go actually has a really good English dub, which is something the original Higurashi does not have. The original Higurashi's English dub is terrible, but it does have a really cool feature that if you play the Blu-ray version of it, character dubbing will literally switch mid-sentence, and it is seamless. So you can actually, if you're good with the hot switching, you can switch between character voices, between, like, English and Japanese, and have some characters be voiced in English and some be voiced in Japanese, depending on how fast you are on that button. And that's actually kind of interesting, because it has the most reactive fucking audio engineering I've seen on an anime dub. It's kind of cool. It reminds me of those video games where you can choose what language you want certain characters to speak in by default. So some characters, I think some of the Gundam games have that. I vaguely remember an RPG as well, where it's like some characters you can choose to be voiced only in Japanese, and other characters you can choose to be voiced in English. But yeah, the original Higurashi, 90% of its English dub is terrible, but Go had a really good English dub. Specifically, I remember the simulcast dub being really good, because that was the version that I watched. And I was just like, yeah, that kicks ass. And Sotsu doesn't have the same quality. I think it's the same actors, but they're just not doing as good of a performance. And I think part of that might be because they realize that the season isn't as good, and they're not putting as much effort in. I also feel like a lot of the reveals aren't satisfying, or feel like they make the story a lot worse. Once again, a weird thing to bring up given this happened so long ago, but I don't think anyone else I talk to actually cares about anything I say. So, you know, I gotta get my licks in where I can. It's like, Higurashi held the top slot on my fucking favorite anime for a while. Sotsu knocked it down at least 3 places. Monogatari series probably is now my favorite, since it was in the number 2 slot up till that point. I don't know what I'd put in the other slot. I'd have to look through my stuff again. Because I have a slight aversion to putting shorter series as my all-time favorites, because I feel like they lose out just based on, like, the amount of content they have, which shouldn't be the case. Like, School Live is fantastic. Planetarian is incredible. Planetarian's like a fucking 2-hour movie, essentially. I mean, it actually is a 2-hour movie if you watch the fucking re-released version. It's based off a video game. I mean, sort of. It's a visual novel, but where you draw the line on that can be a bit, I don't know if I consider visual novels to be video games. I think it depends on how much interactivity they have. I mean, Higurashi started out as a fucking video game, sort of. Again, a visual novel. But I feel like it at least had options where you could sort of choose, like, it wasn't just click, turn page, click, turn page, click, turn page, like, I don't know. Fate is also one of those weird ones, because Fate was also a fucking video gamey, visual novel thing, where it's not, I don't know, it really depends on what you consider a video game to be. My standards for what you consider a video game are somewhat lax, but I know a lot of people wouldn't consider it a video game. Like a dating sim is a video game, because it's an RPG, it's just there's no combat usually, and it's much more, it's kind of like management focused. But I think a lot of people see video games, and there's certain elements they think of that are qualifiers into their mind that I don't necessarily agree with on the same fundamental level. And again, that might be somewhat disingenuous, but I can't help but feel that way, I think. These guys are weak to chemical. One of the biggest problems is that the weapons are so inaccurate in this game, and velocity plays into it to such an extreme degree that it can be really difficult to actually... Yeah, I'm gonna have to try something else. I might be able to get the fucking sniper with the Giga Cannon if I want to go that route. I don't think I do, but... Yeah, he's got high thermal resistance, I think. That's annoying. Well, Dark Souls can be played like a game of attrition, so theoretically, I could just fight these guys till they run out of ammo. I don't want to do that because that's lame. That's how I played a lot of stuff in the arena missions in Armored Core 2. I would just fucking hide under the overpass on the dome mission, or the dome level, and just wait for most of them to run out of ammo. I got Samsara the very first time I fought him by a fucking ring out. I don't know how, but I got him to ring himself out at some point. I remember that being a fucking I'll take it moment. That's probably the point in the FromSoft lineup I realized, wait a minute, I don't have to beat them, I just have to win. Reminds me a bit of that fucking thing in Goblin Slayer that I just loved. I adored more than I think any other line in that entire show. Is him talking about how they would have fought the fucking Beholder if the flower explosion hadn't worked. He talks about how he would have just shot it with arrows and then run away and then gone back and shot it with arrows until it eventually died. Which is exactly how I fucking played Dark Souls 1 the very first time I fucking played it. Because I was a lot more fucking hesitant about the Souls series back then, because it was such a... It was a lot harder than Demon Souls, and a lot of the stuff was different. And Demon Souls is an easy game, and Dark Souls isn't. So there was that, and it's just like, I was much more nervous in my fucking playstyle, and I was set in, like, permanent debug mode. And, like, testing fucking leash ranges, and fucking aggro zones, and fucking how quickly something will de-aggro. Like, that was the mindset I was in when playing that game, and just him fucking plainly saying it in such an essentially the same situation, I really enjoyed that. Because there isn't often when I'm fucking seeing something, I'm like, that is the exact same mindset that I have about, like, pretty much anything. I don't know. I think it's because I have a peculiar way of looking at things in real life. Energy at 30%. I don't like describing myself in cliched terms, but I've always felt like one of those people who never fucking felt their age. Like, I don't feel particularly older or younger than fucking... Like, I've never felt any older than I ever did at any point in my life. I only just become slightly more aware of things. I'm not even sure I would consider myself a sentient creature until I turned, like, fucking 13 or 14. Even that's pushing it. And not just because of all the head trauma. I only have, like, what, 1.5 eyebrows? 1 1/3? Yeah, getting that plastic surgery is still a fucking hit or miss decision for me. I mean, I would have had a scar going down the entire right side of my face if I hadn't. I also probably would be missing an eye, but... that would have been cool if not fucking fed my paranoia to a ludicrous degree. System scan mode. I'm one of those people that even though their life is mostly normal the vast majority of the time, is extraordinarily paranoid about debilitating injuries. I think that's because I had to wear an eye patch for an entire year after I got injured. And I think that left an impression on me about, man, if anything happens, I could really easily be rendered blind. And I feel like if you're already missing an eye or have an impaired eye, the idea that someone could just gouge out or damage your remaining one, it becomes, like, horrifying on some kind of primal level, and that never really left me. Like, what if someone just broke my fingers? Like, and I just fucking couldn't grab or fucking manipulate objects anymore. I couldn't deal with that, I think, as a person. I already can't feel things in my fucking fingers because I've got nerve damage. I think if someone, like, cut my hands off, I would probably kill myself. Not to belittle people who don't have the ability to manipulate things or even have fingers or hands to begin with, but I don't think I could handle that psychologically. Like, being fucking... my only actual completely real irrational fear that I fucking think is a significant problem on a daily basis is my fear of asphyxiation, either via suffocation or blood loss. Blood loss more than the former. I mean, I've nearly died from both. Because one time I was fucking playing hide and seek when I was younger, and I fucking crawled inside one of those break-open ottomans we had in our house, only to realize that, hey, if someone places something heavy on top of it, I can't get out. And there's a highly limited supply of air in one of those things, especially when you're inside of it for 15 minutes straight. That sucked. And also that other time when I fucking cracked my skull open and nearly bled to death, and that one time I was stabbed. I also got shot once, but that was less significant because it ricocheted off my helmet, since it was only a 22. I still have that helmet. I'm surprised it ricocheted at all, given it's only fucking plastic and ceramic with a fucking metal inlay, which is separated from the plastic part. But the plastic part didn't even get punctured. It, like, cratered it, the fucking top part, and it, like, crumbled it a little and fucking... I think it's because it hit it at, like, a glancing angle, and because it was curved, it only, like, dug through the side bit. I don't have any of the padding for that helmet, though. I lost it a while ago since I haven't worn it since. I've been meaning to get a new helmet. Probably should. Not wearing a helmet when you're getting shot at is kind of dangerous. Whatever, that was like 12 years ago anyway. Or 10. When did that happen? I think it was 2009? I don't know. The helmet was out of date anyway. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, I need a new character to put on my mech. I really kind of want to do Haruhi, specifically the version of, like, that image of her sitting in the chair facing the camera. I think that would look good. Her performance of God Knows in that show is still one of my favorite fucking songs in, like, all of anime. Monogatari by Supercell is also one of my other favorites. I think because the art style and the end credits, along with the song itself, it's just fucking... That art style they used for Bakemonogatari's end credit sequence is something I've been trying to emulate my entire life. Still haven't figured it out. I got close once, but I haven't drawn in a while because my hands are kind of fucked up and I don't really have any time. Also, because Clip Studios decided to be a bunch of cunts. I paid however much money for the fucking version of that studio that lets you animate more than fucking 1-minute animations, and I guess I'm never updating it ever again, because I'm not doing a subscription service. That's why I stopped buying Photoshop when they fucking launched their subscription fucking platform. I hate, like, I genuinely hate the fact that that's become, like, the standard business model for those sorts of programs. It's like, hey, fuck it, just pay us. Just fucking pay us forever. Especially since it's, what, Photoshop's $60 a month? If it were like $5 a month, I would consider it. That would still be a fucking pain in the ass, but it's not any different than fucking buying Microsoft Word. Although that, Microsoft Word, I think, was the first one that was like, fuck. Because it's like, I used to be able to just buy a copy of Microsoft Office for like $60 and I'd get whatever version of it was available that year. And if I ever, you know, if my operating system, I got a new computer, or if it ever became, like, woefully out of date, I'd be like, yeah, I'll just buy another copy of Office. It's only however many dollars. But now it's like, no, buy it forever. Especially since my fucking, like, the various jobs that I have and fucking even, like, hobbies that I think requires that I pay for Word. I don't pay for Microsoft Office because I haven't even opened Excel, I think, since I was in middle school. But I use Word regularly. It's $8 a month with Microsoft's fucking thing. Ironically enough, if I played my Xbox more, specifically new games, I would actually get paid to do it. I used to get like $25 a month from the rewards program because I would get so many achievements and fucking play the required games, which was cool, but that's only sustainable in short bursts. So I wouldn't be able to rely on that to fucking pay for Microsoft Word by itself. Especially since to convert it away from your Xbox, you have to do a lot of extra work, and it's just a lot of time. It's easier if I just fucking use that money to pay for like anime during fucking anime month when all those seasons are like $5 or $3. They were selling every single episode of Sailor Moon for like a fucking $50 package because it was on sale. It's normally $500, I think. It includes all the movies, every single episode, and a bunch of behind-the-scenes feature stuff. I don't know if that's a good deal at the sale price, or the default price, but it is almost always fucking on sale to some degree, but it's usually how much it's on sale changes from period to period. And I know I fucking might be considered a weirdo traditionalist, but I vastly prefer buying box sets of shows than fucking streaming them. I do stream shows, especially since a lot of shows aren't available to purchase, or if they are, it's usually in an inferior quality. And while I did pirate a lot of shows in the past, I mean, for fuck's sake, I had to pirate Fullmetal Alchemist back in 2004 or whatever, because it wasn't available to watch in English, where I lived in really any degree. So I remember I was sitting in the drive-thru of a fucking McDonald's on my dad's laptop with an air card, stealing fucking Fullmetal Alchemist from various websites across the internets to watch the show before it was really available in any form or another. And that's how I watched most of Fullmetal Alchemist. It later did appear on TV with a good English version. I watched most of those episodes I watched out of order though, because they fucking scheduling and all that. But what was I talking about before this? Something. Oh yeah, piracy. The thing about piracy being a fault of the service industry or the service provided, in that I happily and do pay for fucking anime if it is available. I would much rather just buy the fucking anime than pirate it. Because to be honest, despite how everyone goes like, oh, it's easy and free, pirating anime is a pain in the ass. It's still a pain in the ass. And it's usually lower quality than I can get from purchasing a fucking... for most anime that I'm interested in, which is... I very, very rarely ever watch anything that just comes out. The vast majority of anime I watch is stuff I either watched when I was a kid or watched 10 years ago that I'm rewatching, because I feel like most people have this thing of, if they watched something good when they were younger, the odds are they didn't understand most of it, or at least have faulty memories. And I like rewatching old stuff because I feel like I get a lot more out of it, having refreshed myself on what it actually is. And, you know, it's usually also higher quality than whatever gets put out nowadays. There are some things that I do watch that are new, and those are usually the things that I end up streaming. But a lot of stuff that I watch that's older, or I rewatch that's older, I will buy the box set. I still have a box set of the fucking original Fate series. I have a box set of not anime, but I did recently rebuy a box set of Farscape because I was fucking wanting to rewatch that again. I have a box set of Firefly somewhere over there. I have a fucking box set of Familiar Zero. I have all of fucking Higurashi, the original, and Miniku as well. I've got some new stuff, in that I do have I have Season 2 of ReZero, because for some reason most of Season 2 isn't actually available on fucking, again, I also purchase things digitally, the newer stuff. I used to have the box thing of Elfen Lied, but you can actually watch the entirety of Elfen Lied on YouTube, and I believe it's free on Amazon anyway. But there's also a lot of weirdo, obscure stuff, like... I'm kind of losing the plot, actually, now that I think about it. I was gonna say something about Tokyo Mew Mew and art styles, but I can't remember. Tokyo Mew Mew isn't fucking obscure, though. It's one of those quintessential shoujo anime. Except for... I've noticed that most people who watched fucking Tokyo Mew Mew didn't watch Sailor Moon, and the other way around. I didn't watch all of Sailor Moon because there was a lot of it, and when I was fucking cognizant of Sailor Moon, it had already been running for a while. So...
Energy at 30%.
Oh, fuck off.
System scan mode.
Fuck off, that doesn't kill them. Such bullshit.
System scan mode.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. There really is no excuse for that shit.
Energy at 30%. Energy at 30%. AC damaged. Take evasive action.
Fuck off. Yeah, also, in case you didn't notice, the reason why I'm talking so much and so erratically about anime is because these missions fucking suck. I'd be a lot less pissed off if I could fucking engage with the game a little more, but holy shit is it not happening. I also probably could have cleared them a little faster if I wasn't talking about anime, but I mean... I work best when I'm talking to another person, so I need to rant about something or it's gonna be real boring for everyone. I mean, there's a reason no one watches my videos. I work best as part of a 2 or 3 man fucking group. I kinda need a peanut gallery, actually. I'm self-aware. God, I fucking hate these things. Not all of them? No, of course it isn't. It never is.
Scan mode.
Whatever. It's not like I'm trawling for S ranks. That's fine. Ultra thin drum mags kind of annoy the hell out of me. I have a drum mag for my M15, and it's because of the caliber size, the drum mag's thin, and it kind of bothers me aesthetically. Also, the M15 I have jams almost every single time I go somewhere to fire it. The very first shot I ever fired with it jammed. It got fucking stuck diagonally in the receiver, and I had to fucking pry it out with a knife. That kind of says it all, huh? When the very first shot you fire with a rifle jams. I think it's just because of that one magazine I have. To be fair, I wasn't using the drum mag the very first time I fired it. I was using the magazine the gun came with, which are these cheap-ass plastic mags with witness holes along the side that actually reduce the structural integrity and make the spring jam up constantly. I really don't like the default mags that gun has, and no one makes fucking third-party magazines for the one that I have. I don't think I'm gonna buy any more magazines for that thing. It's kind of a bad investment at this point.
Well
I might buy him another drum mag because that at least seems to feed correctly, but even still. Because I had this idea of I was going to make that thing as compact as possible and basically just fill it with, or have a drum mag, because they're a 100 round drum. And it was basically just going to be essentially a plinking gun of like, hey, just basically keep it on a sling, around your hip, raise fire when you need to. It basically just instant suppression. But I kind of want to just get a P50 and fucking use that instead. That feels like a much better investment, because it'd fulfill the same purpose. It would actually be compact, and it's small enough I can fit it in that holster I have on the fucking leg, so I wouldn't even need to have it on a sling. Because it's essentially just a large pistol, and it uses P90 magazines. Those weirdo fucking clear ones with the bullets held sideways. And those are actually pretty cheap. You can get a fucking P90 magazine for about 30 bucks. The fucking 22 round magazine for the M15 I have now costs more than that. And those things are a piece of shit.
Whoever's home this is,
I hate this mission.
impressive stock of goodies. It's the same drill as usual. Clear out the area.
It's literally the exact same mission as the one I did earlier. The only difference is it has a time limit. Fucking woo. I don't want to turn this into an agathon like I did with fucking Halo Infinite, because I don't feel like this game actually deserves it, and these missions are clearly supposed to be fucking money raisers that you do
Good work.
in between the story missions. But the problem is the story missions aren't very long, and if you're resolved enough, you can actually do them really quickly.
Waste
But because this game's had its multiplayer shut down, there's not a lot of there's not nearly as much variety as it had when it was active, so you're kind of herded into doing the order missions as just the final send-off to the game, because you're going to do the story missions first. Because what you normally do is, oh, I'll do the story mission. Oh, this one's pretty hard, I guess I'll do an order mission in between it. But now you can just blow straight through the story mission, so you're not going to do the order missions until the story missions are all done, and since there's way more of them and they're way less detailed, it just feels like an endless parade of fucking D-tier quests. This is the Armored Core equivalent of, like, generic MMO quests. And that sucks, because that's not the feeling I want to have. The older Armored Core games have plenty of examples of missions like these that suck, but usually it's one or two missions out of a larger number of them that are really good. And the environments are usually specific to each mission, with a handful of exceptions. Fucking Armored Core 4 has some generic-ass missions that suck, but they're also super short, and they usually have a small amount of novelty to them, at least within the context of that game. I think there's only, like, what, 30 missions in Armored Core 4 total, and then there's the hard mode variants of each. Like, this game has 100 order missions, I think it has 8 story missions, and then it had a bunch of, like, area bosses and stuff, but you can't fight any of those regional enemies anymore because they were online specific. And that sucks. I'm not sure why those are specific to the online thing. I think because they were technically like Rendezvous or whatever. I don't know. It's stupid, and I feel like they kind of fucked up with that. They should have just done the thing where they include the previous game and the new game and just combined this with Armored Core Verdict Day when they relaunched, or when they launched that, because it uses the same server, same engine, most of the same parts. It's pretty much exactly the same in all honesty, except it has, you know, new shit in it as well. There's no reason they couldn't have just packaged them together. It would have made sense in all honesty. Because the only reason to play the game now is for the story mode sections, and you can blow through all of those in like 3 hours if you're determined. It's just a little upsetting, I think. I wasn't even, like, I didn't even want to record this tonight, but fucking, okay, you can usually tell in my recording sessions whether or not something has been stockpiled, because I usually record in like 4 or 5 hour sections and then cut up the recordings to use, or I at the very least record in, like, I'll record an hour and then wait for it to render out, and then record an hour and then wait for it to render, record an hour, etc., etc. Or I'll record like a solid 5 hour chunk and then cut it into 5 different videos. but you can tell I'm recording these in 1 hour sections on different days, usually 2 days apart, because it's just like, I don't want to keep doing them. They're not entertaining. They're not clever. They're more difficult. Like, if these took 30 seconds to do, it would be tedious, but it wouldn't be a problem. They take a while to do usually, and they're not fun, and some of them are pretty difficult. I'm dreading getting to that scavenger mission, because I'm hoping it's easier than I remember, but it's a very distinct possibility that it might not be. And in the case that it isn't, I don't want to play it. And yeah, I could skip them. I could skip them, but I won't. For several reasons. By that logic, there isn't actually much point in me doing any of these missions. But that's not something I want to do. I also can't remember which ones are attached to the Zodiac questline, which is a really cool thing, especially since it's hidden, which is one of my favorite things about those sort of game mechanics. I love hidden stuff in video games, especially hidden stuff that is like actually of consequence. But it's just super fucking like playing all of... Wow, that was super easy. Playing all of these missions for that, like, something that's buried in it. Like, the only reason that the Zodiac storyline is cool is because it's buried. But that doesn't make the content worth sifting through just to see the thing that is cool in it. Like, if the Zodiac storyline was just go into the mission, fight the Zodiac ACs, it would actually be a lot worse. The fact that you have to fulfill the specific requirements to draw them out and do all this stuff makes it more interesting. It's like a catch-22, essentially. The Zodiac AC stuff is made better by the terrible missions around it, but you have to have the terrible missions around it in the first place.
So, there you are. You're hard to tail, you know? Now vengeance is mine for the 2 lives you took.
No, Vengeance is the only cool AC design in this game.
Activating combat mode.
Yeah. Speaking of emblems, I was looking at some of the shop's emblems in Phantasy Star when I was buying weapons on the market there. I love the fucking shop emblems of Phantasy Star. Sometimes I'll just fucking browse through the shop because I like looking at them. They are great. Also, a surprising number of them are hard pornography. Like, really, really detailed. I'm actually confused by that, because I didn't think Phantasy Star's emblem creation system was that complex. I'm not sure if those are made externally and then loaded in, because I feel like there would be some review process for that. But it's like, no, those emblems, some of them have been in since 2013, and they're not reviewed at all. Shit, what the fuck is with this guy? I should probably pay attention. I fucking hate those missiles. Yeah, I'm gonna have to fucking stop talking and pay more attention if I want to kill him. Probably gonna lose this one. But yeah. I don't know if those are drawn and then loaded in afterwards, because some of them look like they're just straight up frames from an anime, but others look like they're fucking put together from polygons. So I guess it's like, maybe you can make images with it, and then you can make a series of images individually made out of polygons, and then string those together, like it's an emblem made out of multiple other emblems. But I wanted to try that out at some point. Something I've been toying with is, if anyone would be interested in watching me actually play Phantasy Star on the thing, and by that I mean PSO2 Classic, maybe a bit of New Genesis, but I'm not actually a huge fan of New Genesis. I don't like how a bunch of games have been, again, reiterating an old argument, I don't like how a bunch of games have been like, everything needs to be an open world. I highly disagree with that notion. But I do really, really, really like classic Phantasy Star Online. I was considering doing that. But the thing is, if I do that, I would be making a new character for the videos and not using my regular character. Because my regular character, I use it with some people and in certain contexts that I would not want being the advertised it's not the version of that I would want to show everyone. Despite the fact that I'm really actually kind of proud of that character and like the design, I really like aesthetically. But also, if I use that character, you wouldn't get to see any fun me customizing stuff because that character, like, I haven't changed my character's appearance in Phantasy Star like for years. So it would essentially just be, you know, me playing the game but not engaging in some significant portions of it because I don't change my character's appearance. I have other outfits I might occasionally use, but for the most part my character's appearance is static, which is something that tends to happen a lot in MMOs and even like RPGs. That's one of my biggest problems with Destiny is I don't like that it forces me to change my character. That's part of why I haven't played Destiny 2 since the fucking Bungie thing that happened semi-recently. Which is, again, an event I paid for that was limited time. I hate that. It pisses me off. But yeah, I might do Phantasy Star. I don't know if I'll do like a full, like, here's my Phantasy Star series. I might just do on and off, like, random Phantasy Star videos and just, like, composite stuff together. It might be an exercise in editing. So that could be cool. Help me get a little bit more familiar with, compiling stuff together. There we go. Fucking jumping bean. How much do I have left? Oh yeah, that was actually pretty close. But yeah, I've been wanting to do a Phantasy Star video here for a while now. I would need to fucking meditate on that a little bit. I don't know quite how I feel about doing it as is. If I do it, I think I would do a series of one-off videos, and then I would try and do something a little bit more long form. Plus, the way Phantasy Star is structured, I don't think it would make for a good, like, just fucking record for hours at a time, because a lot of Phantasy Star is just downtime where you're not really doing like anything critical. You're like just, oh, I'm upgrading weapons, or I'm fucking fishing, or playing in the casino, or I'm running around the desert. Like, the most interesting stuff is the bosses and making your character, but that's also, you know, spaced out amongst a lot of other stuff.
Target acquired. 20 seconds to combat range.
So I don't know.
Everything goes according to plan. Roger that.
I think part of the reason is that MMOs, there's something about MMOs that always makes me really, really anxious, and it's the fact that they can be shut down at any time. And Phantasy Star Online 2 has been going for a while now. I remember when Phantasy Star Classic got shut down. I remember when Phantasy Star Universe got shut down. I used to play those games a lot. And the fact that they don't, like, I've played a lot of MMOs in my time. I used to play fucking Star Wars Galaxies. I used to play LEGO Universe for like the 2 years that was on. I used to play a bunch of miscellaneous MMOs. And something that's always really... I also Final Fantasy 14 and 11. I don't play fucking those as much as I used to, though. And I guess Warframe counts, and that's Destiny, and whatever. I used to play all sorts of things, and something that always really bothered me was that they can just disappear, and all of the time and effort and money... Oh, also Fallen Earth. Money that you put into games. Oh, Battlestar Online as well. Fucking... There's so much, and it can just disappear, and I want some kind of record of it, because Phantasy Star has been online for about a decade now. It's 2013, around the same time as Final Fantasy 14 started. Final Fantasy 14 is going strong, and will probably still go strong for a really, really, really long time. I can't see that shutting down anytime soon. World of Warcraft's probably gonna keep going until Blizzard does something like that fucking just gets that company axed in 1 second. And even then, it'll probably fucking fans have figured out how to extrapolate that entire game into like its composite parts. Someone will probably have it back online within the day. But Phantasy Star very realistically could just disappear someday with very little warning, and that would be terrible. I mean, Sega's almost constantly on the verge of bankruptcy. A little bit less so nowadays than in the fucking early 2000s and late 90s, but they're definitely, like, they're not a heavy hitter compared to a lot of the other fucking companies out there. So the idea that Sega might just be like, yeah, we can't run it anymore, sorry, and shut it down. I don't want stuff like that to continue to happen to games that I sank hundreds of hours into. You know, I'm sure this isn't an uncommon opinion, but the idea that it could just disappear and it's like, well, thanks for playing, and it's just gone, sucks. Like, I hate that. Like, one of the things I talk about a lot is the fact that Infinity Blade just vaporized itself, and it's a game I paid for that deleted itself off my phone that I no longer have access to. Infinity Blade was legitimately one of my favorite games. I know it's like a fucking mobile game, and it's like, it's not as important. But it was high quality, it had an art style that I fucking adored, and it was really well constructed. It was a AAA game. And you could easily have ported it to something like the Switch, or PC even, if you wanted to get fucking weird with mouse controls. There is absolutely room for that to continue to exist. And I think the best fucking goddamn example, or analogy for what Infinity Blade currently is in the world is in the fucking season, I think, 2 finale of chapter 2, is the Infinity Blade literally sitting on a shelf in a basement underground, just completely ignored but pristine. And that's like a super on point analogy of, yeah, it's just on a shelf somewhere, just completely forgotten about, never to be seen again. I've heard some people figured out how to emulate it, but I haven't gotten that to work. I tried multiple times. And that's probably because my phone is like 10 years old. It was only just updated enough to run Infinity Blade 3 when it came out. I never even fucking did all the content in Infinity Blade 3 either. I never did all the content in 2. Cause I never beat that guy who fucking lands his ship and has the lightsaber. I never did the soulless stuff in Infinity Blade 3 because it got deleted off my phone at some point. Like, god damn it, I'm just super fucking pissed. Like, the idea that just there's no goddamn preservation of games whatsoever in the industry is infuriating to me on so many levels. I'm not gonna go so far as to say it's like a desecration of artwork and culture, because, yeah, I'm complaining about video games, but it still pisses me off. Especially since I paid for it. If it was a free game, I would have less justification, but the fact that something I paid for is completely inaccessible for essentially no good reason. It's not like it was a fucking, like, controversial, like, bibliography. It's like, I'm not asking for, like, a copy of Mein Kampf or something. I just want something I paid for to be accessible still.
Energy at 30%.
It just really pisses me off.
System combat mode.
I don't feel like it's unreasonable to be upset about stuff you pay for vanishing into the ether.
System combat mode. Shoulder ammo depleted.
Same thing with some DLC too.
Energy at 30%.
My original fucking Xbox profile doesn't exist anymore because the goddamn email address that it was linked to got deleted because I was a fucking little baby person when it was made. So I used my dad's work email address, and that company doesn't exist anymore. They got shut down over 10 years ago. Probably 15 years ago now that I think about it. I haven't been able to use that fucking Xbox profile since like 2009 when ODST came out. The last thing I put on it, I think, was the pre-order DLC for ODST with Sergeant Johnson. I know that's a little bit, like, pointless and redundant as a complaint with the Master Chief Collection's existence, but I don't actually feel like the Master Chief Collection's existence excuses the old games no longer being playable. I actually kind of, like... Where did he go? I'm actually kind of confused.
System. Scan mode. System. Combat mode.
There we go.
Objective complete. System. Returning to
Uh,
normal mode.
Is VR Chat owned by IMVU? Don't they own, like, something? Oh, fuck, it's this one. Wait, is it this one? Yeah, it's this one. Oh, this one sucks. Let's try this. I think this is the scavenger one. I might be wrong. Who the fuck knows? I keep... Every time this mission or this map comes up
Activating combat
and it
mode.
says shooting ACs, I think, oh, it's this one. But I'm not sure because it's been too long.
Crush these bugs for real this time. You've only got
Holy shit, this thing is so much slower.
The clock's a ticking. Time to shift gears.
Yeah, probably not the best, choice for a timed mission. Ugh. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the way they did the tank parts in this one.
Here they come again.
Ah, shit, here we go again.
Energy at 30%. I'll send the next route. System. Scan mode.
Great.
System. Scan mode. Energy at 30%.
God, this sucks. It's so slow. I know it's supposed to be for team-based fucking mechs, but the fact that it's this slow... Ugh. The tank mechs used to actually move around at a decent clip in the old games. Not here, though.
Energy at 30%.
Ugh. I'm trying to be a little bit more high energy today.
System. Combat mode.
Because a lot of my recent Armored Core stuff's been kind of nothing to go along with the nothing gameplay. And that's not fun. No one wants to watch that. I don't want to watch that. I like to think that, at least to some extent, whether or not I fucking make good content is depending on would I watch it if I wasn't the person fucking making it. And even though I do have to watch it anyway because I have to edit these. But you know what I mean. Sometimes the answer is yes. Most of the time it's no. And that's something I need to work on. Because I've noticed that a lot of the time content creators on YouTube don't actually watch other people's videos. Like, you create, but you don't consume. I feel like in order to create better, you should probably consume the same kind of media, at least to some degree. Because you know what fucking, like, what would you want to see? Well, fucking make more of that, right? Assuming you're fucking consuming media in the same genre of the stuff you're creating, which again, you probably should at least a little bit. I don't get why these have to be timed. I hate that more than anything.
System combat mode. Energy at 30%. Energy at 30%. Energy depleted. Energy at 30%. I don't think they'll be bothering us anytime soon.
Okay, so not the scavenger mission. We're still clear.
Mission objective complete.
Ugh.
System returning to normal mode.
It doesn't feel good. It really doesn't.